Hey everyone, today I want to talk about how to make a project report for your CAD model and print. If you consider our What a Project Submission Should Look Like page on Canvas, it has kind of a list of the things that I want to see. So I'm going to go through how I would set up a project report if I hadn't started one at the beginning. So ideally, you should start a project report when you start a project, and that way they will kind of grow together. But I know that's not what a lot of you do, so I'm going to show what it would look like if I was creating one start to finish after having finished a project. So the first thing that I would probably do is I would go to my Google Drive and go to my CAD folder. I hope you already have a CAD folder. And I'm going to start a new folder for this project. And so this was my cookie cutter project that I did and put a video up of a week or so ago. Okay, so I'm going to go in to my nice empty folder, and now I'm going to pull in all of the stuff that I have ready for this project. So for example, there is nothing on that desktop. It's unfortunate. Okay, here are all the pictures that I have saved. And I know I have some stuff on a desktop. Let's see. There they are. So it's going to import all of these photos and the STL files and all kinds of good stuff. What I'm actually going to need is a Google Doc, and I will call this one Cookie Cutter Project Report. I'm going to get some essential information right up at the top, like name, date, never a bad idea, right? Project. So I am saying that this one falls under the Be Useful project on Canvas. So something that would be used in the real world. So that's what I made. A cookie cutter could be used in the real world. Here were some of the examples on Canvas, but those were certainly not your limitations. So the project is Be Useful. Class for this one is CAD 1. I would like you to include the software because some of you are using Tinkercad and some of you are using Fusion 360. It's really good to be able to tell those things right off the bat. And then project links. I actually ended up doing 2 cookie cutters. Go take a look at those, see if you remember them. So here's the new Jedi Order cookie cutter, and this one was the Separatists cookie cutter. I have already made them public, but if you don't know how to do that, you go to this icon right next to the dashboard icon, click on that, and it's going to show you things that you've had open recently. If you click on this little gear icon, that's the settings, and you can change the name in here if you don't want to change it out here, and you can change it from private to public, which means that I will be able to see it. Very important. You can also change your license in here if you want to. By default, it's on attribution share alike, which means that if someone else uses part of my design, they need to give me credit, and they need to also share it with other people. They can't then demand payment or whatever if someone uses theirs. You do have other options here. Non-commercial means that nobody can make money off your design. No derivatives means that other people can't copy your design and use it as an element of something they're doing. So you can pick whatever you feel is appropriate in there and just hit Save Changes. That one is now public. So now if I go back to my dashboard and I look at the cookie cutter, if I scroll down, there is this link right here. And that is what you need to share with your teacher. So that is what I am going to paste right here. That one. And I had one for the other one as well. So this lets me know, right, that this is an original and who made it. And same thing here, I've already made this one public. So if we scroll down, we can copy that link and make sure those get in my project report. Okay, so look at all this stuff that I already have in right off the bat. Helpful information and my project links themselves. All right. So there's a couple of different ways to approach this next part. You could kind of recreate in your head how you went through this process. You could kind of start at the end and work backwards. I'm not a big writer. Writing is a really, really noble thing to do. It's an excellent profession. It's just not where my talents or interests lie. I like making stuff more than writing about it. And given that, I can get pretty lost in trying to describe my process to someone when I just write it all out. So the thing that I find most useful is to base it off of photos. So I'm going to go to Insert, Image from Drive, and we'll be able to see over here all the ones that I just imported. So I have kind of a couple of different groups. These are my kind of real world ones that I'm going to save for last. I'm going to talk about design first. I think I'll talk about the separatists one first. That's this one. And so I'm going to bring in the photos, these 4 photos, maybe not that one, these 3 photos that talk about kind of how I made this particular piece. Now these are screenshots. If you don't know how to make a screenshot, let's see, how am I going to help you with that? So if you're on a Windows computer, you come down here and you start typing and you find, that was too fast. You come down here and start typing SN. Snipping tool is the old one. Snip and Sketch is the new one. So I recommend just switching. So the app is Snip and Sketch. You can also find it in the Windows menu and just scroll down until you find it. There it is, Snip and Sketch. If you click on that, this is going to let you take pictures of particular things on your screen without having to do the whole screen at once. So you go New, and it's by default going to let me make a rectangle. So I'm going to click with my left mouse button. I'm holding that down, dragging a box around it. And then when I like the shape of my box, I let go of the left mouse button. And you can see what I've captured. At this point, you can annotate, drawing on it. Woo. Undo that. You can highlight, you can erase, you can measure stuff. Image crop is very helpful. If I recommend taking too big a box and then sizing it down like so. Just hit the little yes, I like that. When you have the image looking the way you want it to, you do have to hit save and save it somewhere. So I saved all of these in a folder so that I would have them to use. Save. I do not have a Chromebook with me right now, so I'm not going to be able to show you how to do this on a Chromebook, but I will find a video of how to do that, and I will post it on Canvas for those of you on Chromebooks needing to take screenshots, okay? So I will find or make or somehow get a screenshot video for doing it on a Chromebook. Okay, back to what we were doing. So now I have, these are a little big. I'm going to make them smaller. So now I have some kind of in progress photos. And this is what I like to do. So instead of inline, I go to wrap text, and then you can just type right next to them. In order to make this cookie cutter, why is that doing a weird highlighting thing? I don't like that. No. I started with looking up some Star Wars logos. Here is the graphic I found to be inspired by. Okay, so one of the first things I did was I went and found this graphic. Do you guys remember that? So I didn't make this graphic. Most of these were made based off of the actual Star Wars stuff. So I'm just going to copy this link so that I can make sure that I give credit to this image, right? Link. So now I can select the words that I want to be a link. If I come back up here to insert link, then when I paste and apply, so now you can see it turned blue, right? And if I were to click on this, it takes me to that logo, which is what I was looking at. Okay, so that's how to insert a link. If you haven't done that before, there you go. I decided to make the, what's it called again? Separatists. Decided to make the Separatist logo first. And so actually these are in the wrong order. Let's see, this one should go up here. This one should go down here. Oh, goodness. So obviously this can take some time to get just right, which is why I really think that if you're being super smart about it, I would recommend starting your project report right when you start your project. That way you don't have to go through and do all of this at once. You just do a little bit every day as you're working on it, and then it's not so bad. It's really how I would do it. That's how I prefer to do it when I have to do reports like this. As you go. Okay. I used, what did I do very first? I set up my work space to match the 3D printer bed so that I would be sure to make things that fit. That's true. I use the hexagon shape, the outer ring, and another to make the cut out hole. That's what that first picture is of, right? Next, I added center, hexagon, and some long, thin box shapes for the center design. Used the rotate and align tools to help everything stay symmetrical. Symmetrical, oh, 2 M's, there you go. And lined up correctly. So far, so good. What else did I do? I added a ring for I spelled reinforcement right. And made sure it was in the right position for 3D printing. And I downloaded the STL file and submitted it. Oh, this is just a little too big, that's all. Okay. So that is a short and to the point, but descriptive explanation of how I went through this design process, right? I started out up here, I used this graphic, you can see the link to the project file up above. You could always add captions to this, but I really think this is a good way to go, right? So we have kind of the process and the narrative to go along with it. If anything, I could add a little bit more about how I rotated these or why I chose that logo, but this is a pretty good place to be. Okay, you could also add a link to the STL file because I put that in my folder right here. So that was this one. I can't download it, which I knew. Let's see, right click, there we go, share. So I could make this shareable. And then put that right here as a link. You don't really need to do this because you have already submitted your STL file to me, but you could if you want to do. Okay, and so now I'm going to add some stuff about what it was like when I actually printed them out. So I'm going to go back to Insert and Drive. So now I'm going to find the pictures of actually printing them. So there's that one. Let's see, like so. I'm going to insert. These are a little bit big, but not terrible. So I need to make sure that they are going to move with text. Oh, way smaller. Ah. And you might not be able to have cool action poses of your 3D prints in the real world because where did my picture go? It just moved up there. That was weird. Because you would not be able to pick up yours until after all of this crazy is done and we're back to school at least part-time. But you can do at least the first part up there, and if and when we ever kind of get all of these You know, I really love Google Docs, I really do, but sometimes it drives me a little batty. Okay, so that one was first, and then I wanted that one to go next. And then this one will go down there. Goodness. Nope, nope, that one can stay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here is what the printed out version looked like. Printed with no supports. So if, as I'm printing your files, I am sending photos back to you through that print this file assignment on Canvas. So I grade it as complete when the print is done, and then I reply, and in my comments I have all the photos I took. So if your item needed support, there's a picture of it with the support attached, and then I am cleaning off the support to the best of my ability, and some photos of it without the support below that. If you asked me to do something specific, like somebody had a phone holder and I took a picture of it holding a phone, then those are there as well. So those are what you can use right here. I am not going to promise to bake cookies if you make a cookie cutter. So I suppose that would be kind of cool. Okay, so printed with no support. Yay! Da, da, da. No, stop scrolling. This picture is, here is my son Max using the cookie cutters to make some Star Wars themed sugar cookies. The cutters were okay, but the what was the other one called? Not the set, the new Jedi Order, that one. The new Jedi Order one was a little flimsy. If I were to make it again, I would add more, I would add a more supportive ring and perhaps a bar support or two across the middle. It was also a little tall, making for cookies a bit too okay. Put this here now. Oh. Why is it being weird? I don't want it to be weird. Nope, that one I like there. Dang, dang. You picture. No, you stay. Oh my gosh. It's driving me crazy. Uh, why did the text jump down? Have you ever made your phone? to think. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, printed version, Max making cookies. Are the cookies made with the cookie cutters. Pretty self-explanatory. No. This is the one I want to scoot down. There we go. Okay. You can see that the separatist ones came out a lot better than the new order ones. Sad but true. So here are the separatist ones. They actually came out really nice. The cookie cutter was pretty easy to use. The new order ones were okay. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's see. Whoa, crazy. It's these right here. They came out all right. They were just not amazing. When we were done, we put the cookie cutters through the dishwasher. Whoops. High heat setting didn't really, well, the high heat setting sort of melted them a bit. New order one is toast. I've thrown it away. Separatist one only got a little bent, and we'll keep it. Okay, so that is a pretty good explanation of kind of just the one. If I was going to do the other, what would I do? I would probably right here go put in the other pictures from Drive. So I would go find just do quite as many. Oh, I am going to show this one though. So I would save all of this one. You hold down Control, it'll let you select multiples. Insert. What? Where'd that one come from? Nope. Nope. I just clicked on the wrong one. Hate it when that happens. This is another example of why it's so much easier if you just kind of go the day of and do them at the same time. It keeps everything in order. It just kind of makes your life a lot easier. Okay, so most of it would end up being the same kind of stuff that I set up here, so I'm not gonna make you watch all of that again. The one part that I did want to show you is I took a screen capture of that shape generator that we used to make the star so that I could show, oh, here I use this cool shape generator in order to get that. Here are the settings that I picked. I could talk about, you know, making using the shape generator to get those 25 points, so I didn't have to figure out the math for the how many rotations I would need to do. That would be a good thing to talk about here. The other thing that I would definitely talk about here, and I will go through and do this, I'm just not going to make you watch it live, is this shape that I used came from Thingiverse. Here it is. So I would make sure that I saved this link and said, this is where I got that. I did not make it myself. Make sure you give credit where credit is due. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the license that this user has chosen is the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial. So I can't make any money off of anything I make using this logo. And I need to make sure to cite the source. So that's the attribution part, right? So in my project report, I'm going to make sure that I say this was made by user CSALA92 on Thingiverse. Here's the link to their file. So that's a really important thing to have in this design doc. Very important. I did not make this piece. You need to give credit where it's due. Okay, so that is a whole lot of stuff. Let's go take a look. I'm going to complete this section without you having to literally sit here and watch me type. And then I will post this example on our what a project submission should look like list down here. But before I decide that I'm done, I'm going to go look through the rubric right here and see how I'm doing. Sites, resources used. Okay, so I cited the graphic that I used, and I will cite the, shape from Thingiverse that I used. It's an important piece. Organized project submission. Okay, so this one is organized kind of chronologically. Here's what I did in this order, here's the printout, here's the final product, and here's kind of the result. Okay, good. Explain the design process. Okay, did that. Shows multiple steps. I did that. Multiple steps is not, I had an idea, here's the finished product. It's not multiple steps, it's like one step. Idea, first version, midway through, then I did this, here's the end result. That's multiple steps. That's describing and explaining your process. Design changes or challenges. So a good example of that one in here could be, I don't know if you remember, but when I was looking for this star background, I thought, oh, maybe I'll use triangles, and how am I going to rotate enough of them in 25? What a weird number. I wonder if there's some sort of shape generator that I could use to do that. And I found one. So that's something I'm going to talk about right here, is choosing this shape generator to fix that problem. Seeking needed information. If you had to go look up how to do something, you could link in the YouTube video you watched on how to do a particular feature. That would be a great example of using all of needed or seeking the needed information. Explain how it fits the requirements. So I am going to do that in kind of my wrap up here in just a second. Machine choice and settings. You're not creating the print file for this one. If you're sending it to me, if you have a 3D printer at home and you're printing it yourself, you should explain your machine choice and settings. Now, your choice might be, hey, this is the only printer I have at home, and that's fine. But settings, you have to choose things like support and resolution. You should include all of those decisions in your project report. If I am printing your file, then you don't have machine choice and settings, but what you do have is choosing to orient it correctly and size it correctly. So for example, on this one, I talked way at the top about making sure that I set up for my workspace to match the 3D printer bed. And I also made sure it was in the right position for 3D printing. Right here, I should add, because it is flat on the bottom and will need no support. This is the correct orientation. Okay, so Y is flat on its back, right? Because it's flat on the bed. If I do it this way, it needs no support. If I did it the other way around, technically it would still be flat on the bottom because it would just be this ring, but it would need a whole lot of support material. So that would not be good. So there's my explanation for why it should be printed in that way. Example of this type of project in the real world. So you can either explain that. In this case, I actually showed it being used in the real world, right? So that would work too. Complete finished product. So this is the part where you actually submit an STL file to me so that I can print it and return it. If you don't ever submit a file and you only do a virtual version, I can't give you full credit on this guy, okay? So complete original file, correct file type. You need to submit an STL file. It needs to be appropriate for the assignment. It needs to fit in the print bed, demonstrate complexity. So this should be complexity appropriate for the software and project you are doing. This is not going to be the same for every project or for every student or for every piece of software. So if you are unsure, let me know and we can talk through it together, okay? And file is machine ready. Don't send me files that you say, oh, and can you delete this thing and maybe make it bigger and rotate it? No, that part is your job. I need you to send a file that's ready for me to just send to the 3D printer, okay? Okay, so the only thing that I haven't done here is a little bit of wrap up, explain how it fits the requirements. I could do that right up at the top, actually. I could say, I chose to make a cookie cutter. Oh gosh, I hate that highlighting thing. For this project, as I thought it would make a good video example, and my son and I would have fun making cookies together, which we did. I decided on the Star Wars theme because it was May 4th. All right, see how we're doing? Sites, resources, organized, explanation, multiple steps, changes or challenges, how it fits the requirements. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna finish up this example, but I'm not gonna make you watch me type anymore because that's just ridiculous, and post this to our Canvas class so that you can see it too. If you have questions of what should go in a report, let me know. This is 5 pages and it might be 6 by the time I'm done. It's a digital file. Make it as long as it needs to be. That's fine. If it all fits on 1 page and you only have 1 picture, probably isn't enough. I really want to see your process. Okay? If you have other questions, let me know. And we'll get these turned in. If there's something specific you want me to model next week, let me know. Otherwise, I will pick a new project to get started.